Well, how's it going? Make sure everything's good. It's like we might have a storm outside. Certainly is windy enough. Anyway, grammar sucks. Okay, I'll get to the real point. I have a tendency to annoy, and when I say annoy, I mean really annoy the grammar police who act as if grammar, that the universe revolves around grammar, as if somehow grammar is the only reason writing exists. They need to get over themselves. Anyway, is grammar needed? A statement that I have never denied is yes, it is needed. The way these people act, you would think that I think grammar is of no use whatsoever. No. See, my philosophy on writing is very simple. The first draft, a rough draft, it's called a rough draft for a reason. By the way, this is an excellent book on, can you see it? Should close the window. There we go. Anyway, I'm going to quote from it eventually anyway. But, see, my philosophy is very simple. The first draft is crap. It's meant to be crap. You're not supposed to worry about these things called grammar and all its rules until you're ready to really get to the final draft or drafts. Depends on how many drafts you want to do. I don't find grammar to be all that important until I've written at least the bones of the story. What I mean by the bones is a rough draft. To me, a rough draft is the skeletal system of the story. The next draft would be the organs. I'm just going to get graphic, people. Sort of. And then there's the rough draft until you get to the final draft is the stage of the human body. You know, the body, the skeleton, the organs, the brain, the veins, the nervous system. You know, it just builds up. You know what you need to have all that stuff work? Blood. Which would be what grammar is. Grammar really is the blood that makes all the other stuff work. Because without blood, you're dead. Sorry, that's what works. But I like annoying these grammar police people. I like annoying them, pricking them, poking them, causing them angst. Because they act as if somehow that if you don't start with grammar right off the bat, there's a problem. Well, no. You know, all writers have different philosophies of writing. I like to write the rough draft. I like my rough drafts to be just that. Rough drafts. I'll go back and fix all those other problems later. I mean, that is kind of the idea of a rough draft. But to me, grammar is a secondary issue until the story, at least the rough draft part of the story, at least the first few drafts, or the idea is done. Once you've written I have chocolate milk with rum in it. No, I'm not drunk. I'm just in a relatively mild mood right now. Mainly because there's a storm happening outside, hopefully, and I like storms. But anyway, I'm trying to explain this. My philosophy is very simple. Write the first draft as a mistake-ridden, grammar revolting mess that it's going to be. And if you can fix it while you're doing it, that's fine. I do that. I do that all the time. But in my mind, write the story down first. Write it down. If you're going to get stuck in the minutia of grammar and all those things, you're going to worry about, you're going to bog yourself down in how to write a sentence instead of writing a sentence. A writer doesn't need grammar to write. They need an idea, imagination, experience. Someone just come home. Okay. I'm in the house by myself. I get easily distracted. You should know this by now. Besides, my window's right here. I'm going to see outside the world. But to me, writing the story is first and foremost. Grammar is second. It will always be second with me. I will go back and I will fix what I can find if I find it. But I need to write the story. Grammar has a tendency with some people to be more important than the actual story. Look, I had an English comm teacher. She wasn't bad. She was a good teacher, but she kept getting stuck in the minutia of of the structure of a sentence of stuff we were studying, to the point where it's like, I would like to enjoy the story and I'd like to examine the story. I don't care about the grammar of the story. The grammar is just what you built on. I want to know why this sentence says what it says, not how it's made. She was good at, she was an okay teacher, but she would get bogged down in these little details. It's like, I want to enjoy what I'm reading. I want to understand how it's written and why it's written that way. That's fine. But when you get bogged down to the point to where you're going to worry about every little detail, you're going to lose interest in writing. You're going to stop wanting to write. You're not going to want to write. Because you're going to be so worried that the grammar police are going to find an apostrophe that shouldn't be there. Or something. It's like, lighten up. And whatever you do, don't read Stephen Crane's Red Badge of Courage or William Faulkner stuff, because that'll drive you crazy. That's not English. That is colloquialism. Those are, you want to talk about grammar that's a little questionable? It works. Because William Faulkner wrote it, and they are classics, so it must be okay. My problem with the grammar police is they are so obsessed with how it looks, not how it sounds. How it comes. Grammar is important. Don't get me wrong. I've never said it wasn't important. I just don't put it as the most important part. Grammar is. It's also a very tricky thing because there's all types of grammar. There's all types of English is a very complicated language to figure out anyway. It is odd. I didn't say, it's a bastard language because pretty much it has a little bit of everything in it. Thanks to every country that ever tried to invaded England, and never left. They didn't leave. I mean, grammar has its uses. Grammar has its importance. Grammar should be taken seriously. But not to the point where you can't write the story because you're terrified that someone's going to come along and tell you that apostrophe S should not be there. Like, well, dude, I'm sorry, it is there. I'll take care of it in the final draft. Don't worry about it. I've run into people who literally cannot function because the grammar is not perfect for them. It's like, did you like the story? Did you at least try to understand what the story is about? No, the grammar. I must have perfect grammar. Well, welcome to the real world where nothing is perfect, and neither is writing. Grammar has a tendency, it's a double-edged sword. It's very useful to write a story, but it also can be quite destructive. Because people who don't go into writing for a very simple reason, grammar paralyzes them. They're so petrified of breaking some grammar rule that only the grammar police know about. Yeah, I know. Just write. That's my philosophy. Just write the story, write the first draft, write the rough draft, try to catch your mistakes if you can on that draft. That's fine. I do that. But don't obsess that every little thing in the first draft has to be perfect. The only person who ever wrote anything in the first draft perfect was Mozart. Okay, and he's a genius. Most people who write are not geniuses. But anyway, I mean, I irritate the grammar police on purpose. I really do. Because I like irritating them because they're so full of themselves and so convinced of their own correctness. And it's like, do you write anything? No. Most of the time, these people don't write anything. They don't sit there and write stories. They don't do anything except complain and bitch and moan and complain and gripe about grammar of other people when they don't even try to write anything. Grammar has its place. Oh, excuse me. Grammar has its place. Of course it does. It's all part of writing. But grammar doesn't create imagination, doesn't create experience, doesn't create anything worth writing about. Grammar helps you write about it, but it doesn't create the experiences, doesn't create the imagination, and doesn't create the the daily life of things to write about. It may help you to write about those things, and it does, because that's why it's important. But writing, once you start worrying about grammar's every little detail, you don't write anything. You're bogged down because you're constantly correcting yourself, constantly going back and doing this, that, and the other. It's like, just write the story first. They're computers. You can go back and correct it. You can, believe me. Once you write a first draft, that's not the only draft you have to write. You can go back and correct it. You can go back and fix things. It's not like the only draft you're allowed to write is the first one and it better be perfect. It doesn't work that way. Writing doesn't work that way. How many writers have written one thing one time and never gone back to correct things or change things or fix things? Any writer who doesn't do this doesn't know what he's doing. But anyway, I'm over my 10-minute limit. A lot of these studies are going to go over 10 minutes. You should be used to that by now. They're mostly going to be 15. I just like saying 10-minute studies and things. It's a nice round number. I think it was 15, I think. But I like 10 better. It's a smaller number. It's right out. I mean, yeah, I like irritating grammar people. I like irritating the grammar police because they need to get over themselves. They do. The universe, the world, doesn't need every single thing in the grammar world to be perfect. You can fix it. Grammar has its use. I know I'm rambling now because I just know if this other person reads this, he's going to have a cow. He's going to his brain is probably going to explode because he can't handle anything that isn't perfectly grammatized. I made up a word that just he can't handle it. I like poking him because it's like, dude, you need to just take a chill pill. You don't write anything. All you do is tell me that grammar is this, that, and the grammar is his god. Creativity is mine. That's the difference. But anyway, I'm about to hit 13 minutes. Hopefully this video doesn't bore too many people in my ramblings. Please subscribe, comment, share. Behave yourselves, people, because you know I won't, because I don't know how. I never will know how. Oh, wrong button. Push the wrong button. Later.